Think of Inspector Purbright?
I'm Purbright.
Good-o. Warlock, hang 'em on a thread department. Forensic.
Ah,
understand I might be able to help you, Squire.
Yes, Mr. Det-Sgt Love.
So, what's been going on then? You didn't tell me much.
No, I'm not surprised. I'm afraid we're all in a bit of a vacuum, Mr. Warlock.
Good-o, just the job.
I tell you what, Sid, why don't you go down and tell the lads to find a spade and do a bit of gardening. Places to try should be obvious enough, if there are any, of course. Yesterday we received an anonymous letter.
Oh, sugar.
Sorry?
I don't take sugar. Still, better than a kick up the bum, eh, Squire? Sorry, I thought you were going on about a letter or something.
Oh, yes, yes. The first sentence went something like, why don't you take a look into 14 Beatrice Avenue? I think something terrible has happened there.
Sort of thing.
Then there was some rather confused stuff about a lot of noise at the house on Thursday night, and what did we make of that? You'll have noticed how damnably rhetorical these anonymous letter writers always are.
Oh.
There were other questions posed, all very portentous. Why was somebody digging the garden at 2 o'clock in the morning? Why was the bathroom light on half the night? Sort of thing. The letter was different in other respects also. For one thing, there was no hint at fornication.
Oh.
Secondly, it was just a bit more circumstantial than usual. And thirdly, well, we do have some idea of the setup here.
Oh, yes.
There were 2 fellows living here, both in their late 30s, and not related.
Uh-huh.
The actual owner is a man named Gordon Periam. He keeps a tobacconist shop in town. He inherited the house from his mother. She lived here with him until her death about a year ago. The other man's name is Brian Hopjoy. He's supposed to be a commercial traveller with a line of pharmaceutical sundries, things like that.
Supposed to be.
Yes. So the position is this, Mr. Warlock.
Both these characters are missing. There may be a perfectly innocent explanation, despite the anonymous letter. But you don't think so. Right, Squire?
One of the pair happens to be in a rather special category. Only the Chief Constable and myself know about it. That's all I can tell you at the moment. What I can assure you is that it is very important. At least I'm supposed to think that it is.
You don't sound too certain.
Oh, that's just my parochialism. We like to think of our crime as homegrown. Shall we?
Even murder?
Oh, yes, especially murder. If it is murder.
I hate to think I've come all this way for nothing.
Mr. Warlock, if you have, you're not the only one. We found this tucked behind the hot water tank. Blood, of course, and what we think is human hair.
You've checked for prints, of course.
None.
So much for the do-it-yourself kit. And the next, Squire?
There and there.
Splashed it about a bit, didn't he? Eh? And the next?
There and there.
could be. There's been some wiping up, though. Still, enough for us to play with. Hello, hello. Aha. Prints?
All taken. Oh.
Oh.
There's a layer of grease or something along the bottom there. They noticed it when they were taking prints. Well, you can feel it for yourself.
Paraffin wax, £1 to a penny. Melted candles, probably. Metal seat, go in no time. So, brush it hot over the plug seating round the chain. Any gaps in the enamel? Just the job, Squire. Obviously, he's made some attempt to rinse it clean with hot water, but forgot the chain, see? So, the picture, as they say, is beginning to clear.
Really? Sid? Sod it.
Looks like a carboy.
A what?
A carboy. One of those big glass bottles they use for storing acid.
Mind you, he was tidy enough. That's the only drop he spilled. So, best thing we can do then, Squire, is to have the drains up.
You mean you want some of the bath water?
Bath water? Good God, no. I mean Mr. Periam, or Mr. Hopjoy, in solution. Eh? I wonder what he felt like when he heard his mate going glug, glug, glug down the plug hole.
I wonder.
Anyway, sulphuric, I should think. What did you say this Periam did for a living?
Tobacconist.
The other one, then.
Hopjoy?
A traveller, yes. What did you say his line was?
Oh, pharmaceuticals. Oh, yes, I see what you mean. Yeah, I'll have a look into that.
Aha. Blood purifying lozenges. Riding master body talc. Anti-scurf ointment. Man on the move after shave. Laxative pills. Bullseye deodorant.
And they're saying what you might call divergent personalities.
Hello? Eh? What's he been doing with this, then? Blood, see? Much the same as on the hammer. Oh, well, worth a gander. Eh, Squire? Mind you, I wouldn't take too much store by any prints that show up. If he had any sense at all, he'd be wearing rubber gloves, sloshing acid about and so on. Excuse me, Squire. Thank you.
Find anything, Sid?
Well, whoever wrote that...
Oh, eh?
Whoever wrote that letter must have had a good view of the back of the house. I've been asking questions, nothing so far. The best bet will be the people directly behind. A Miss Cork and her mother. Just a locked her away somewhere. Woman next door thinks they might be visiting the old lady's sister. Doesn't know where. So I suppose we'll just have to keep knocking.
The hairs on that hammer, they should tell us something, shouldn't they?
Well, it's hard to say, really. You see, Squire, in itself, a hair doesn't tell us a great deal. It's comparative tests that are significant. Give me hair A and hair B, and I'll tell you if they're from the same head. With a reasonable degree of certainty, anyway.
Chase that up, will you, Sid? Poke around their clothing. Anything else you can find?
What about initialed hairbrushes?
Oh, yes, rather. Initial hairbrushes, certainly. Did either of them have a car?
Yeah, just the one, Hopjoy, New Capri. I found a letter from the insurance company, dear sir, what about the money, that sort of thing. Anyway, I've got the number, so at least we can start looking. Still, any sense and he's well over the hills and far away.
Quite.
Whoever he is.
Funny, you know, when you think about it, leaving this hammer upstairs. I mean, when you think of all the trouble he went to, smashing up that carboy and burying it, me, I'd have chucked the hammer in as well. Every time.
Murdering people, Mr. Warlock, must be quite a distracting business. Even the most accomplished practitioner must overlook things occasionally.
Aye.
Mr. Ross and Mr. Pumphrey.
Gentlemen.
How do you do, sir?
Hello.
Hello.
Do sit down, all of you. I was just saying, Mr. Purbright, that I'm sure our visitors will receive all the help they need from our local residents.
Oh, if they're handled correctly, yes, sir.
Quite. If I may,
Yes, please.
I assume, Inspector, the Chief Constable here has explained the nature of our interest in this little affair of yours at Flaxborough.
Well, as I understand it, one of the two missing persons, a man named Hopjoy, happens to be,
One of our fellows, yes. Of course, you see how we might be placed.
well, not precisely, no.
Well, it simply means that, security-wise...
Thimble Bay. Let's start from there, shall we? I don't have to tell you about the Thimble Bay establishment. Couldn't anyway, not above security 3. And you wouldn't be much the wiser if I did. But you'll understand that it's very much our pigeon. Hence Hopjoy. Amongst others, naturally.
Well, that much I'd gathered. Of course, Thimbleby is not usually considered to be in our locality.
Oh, dear. 27 miles might seem a long way to you, Inspector, but I mean globe-wise, that is to say, in a global context.
We're, of course, aware that you've got quite enough on your plate without being too worried about what goes on a couple of counters away. It's just that we have to take rather long views in our job.
Thank you.
Played any cricket at all, have you, Purbright?
The odd knock or two in my time, yes.
Reason I ask is this. Picture Thimble Bay as the wicket. Security is simply a matter of placing fielders. Slips, cover points, limit off, square check.
Ah, now lacrosse I haven't played.
What? Oh, yes. Square check. Wrong game. Perfectly right. Full marks. Nevertheless, you've caught my drift?
Well, from what I understand, Hopjoy is the Flaxborough long stop, so to speak.
His task being the interception of such information as happened to leak in this direction.
Do you suffer many leaks, Mr. Ross?
These are Hopjoy's reports. Pretty sensitive stuff. You'll appreciate I can't take you right into the picture, but what I can say is that what we have here suggests that he might well have been onto something.
On to something indeed.
We realise that Mr. Hopjoy was engaged in somewhat delicate work involving matters that did not concern us as mere policemen. However, what does concern us is the possibility of a crime having been committed. Now, let me be perfectly frank, Mr. Ross. To what extent do we collaborate in this affair?
Fully, I trust, Mr. Chubb. That surely is why we're here, to be kept informed, with the least inconvenience to your good selves.
Kept informed, yes. Well, I had hoped for something rather more reciprocal.
Eh?
Well, if it turns out that your man has been done away with, the answer might very well lie in that briefcase.
That's true. The trouble is this stuff hasn't been thoroughly processed yet. Our people gave it a preliminary feed through our section, but the report wasn't terribly suggestive.
All the leads turned out to be green, with a negative linkage. Category C.
Yes. Well, perhaps you'd better tell us how you see this business, Purbright. Any ideas?
Well, beyond the not particularly intelligent deduction that a man was possibly murdered in that house and his body disposed of, I don't think I have much to offer. Naturally, we assume that the body is either that of Periam or your man Hopjoy.
Yeah, not necessarily. Our chaps are fairly adept at looking after themselves, you know.
You'd not be surprised, then, if the man turned out to be Periam?
In my job, Purbright, one soon loses all capacity for being surprised.
Supposing Hopjoy were responsible.
Then he must have had a very compelling reason. Mind you, I doubt that possibility. I'm not aware that F7 had any general authorization to take executive decisions.
Well, we wouldn't have been necessarily informed if he had.
True.
Well, that's a great help, I must say. Don't any of you chaps know what you're up to? Purbright. 4 years ago, I received a confidential request to give this fellow Hopjoy cooperation. As it happens, he never came to us for anything. But now it seems that something has cropped up that cannot be glossed over. And I have no intention of allowing my officers to temper their efforts to solve this crime with consideration for what you may regard as higher policy.
It seems to me, Mr. Chubb, that you are totally unaware that this business involves top, I repeat, top security.
No, that's not altogether fair. Mr. Chubb appreciates that this affair has certain delicate features, but a crime's a crime, and he's quite right to view it from the standpoint of the very fine policeman we all know him to be. Of course, the investigation must proceed as he thinks best. I ask only that we be allowed to assist with what specialized knowledge we have. That is, you proceed your way, gentlemen. We proceed ours.
What was all that about?
Poor old Ted Crow. Keeps a farm out at Mumblesby.
Why poor old Ted Crow?
He's got his problems one way and another. Cap it all, someone's nicked half a side of pig he's had slaughtered. They're giving me some right old stick about it. I keep telling them, I said, in fact, a lot of chance we've got of finding it now. Being nice thin slices all over the county.
Oh.
You found the car?
Bit of a rum bird, eh, Mr. Chubb? What do you think, sir?
Absolutely. I kept expecting him to ring for a butler to show us out. The Purbright, I'm a shade doubtful about. There's a streak of cleverness there that doesn't go with a provincial copper. I suppose he's been cleared.
Why, there's been no R rating compiled. And I can't find any minuses against him, which means that he's entitled to 94, 95 maybe. It's pretty average for a policeman above the rank of sergeant.
Not a great deal to go on at the moment, is there? Hopjoy's already been 11 days out of contact.
12.
All right, 12. That makes takeover automatic, but we can't put someone else in without some clarification. You know, considering this Hopjoy ran up some of the fattest expenses in the sector, I think he might have left things a bit tidier.
Yeah. You still feel sure that he has been operationally negatived?
They've got him all right. Poor devil. But we're not here to organise a wake. As long as we do our job of joining up the cut ends as quickly as possible, we can leave the bobbies to worry about what they think is the crime angle. Our chaps will see that nothing's let out.
Well, the police are bound to consider this Periam deeply implicated.
Periam?
F7's landlord.
Oh. Why has been a thing? You can be sure our friends on the other side have arranged for some poor mutt to be implicated. No, there's nothing to suggest that Periam had anything to do with it.
F7 seemed pretty confident.
Did he now?
And Mr. Periam rated extremely high, as it turned out. Allowing for stability, depreciation, he rings up a 98.
Good God, he must be the only one.
16, actually. Occupation-wise, the breakdown is quite interesting. 5 of them are tobacconists like Periam. Market gardeners come next. Then there's a mixed bunch. 2 churchmen. Neither of them C of E, as far as I remember. Funny, that.
Well, we'd better make a start. All we can do at this point is follow up Hopjoy's lines more or less at random until we get some sort of a picture. Now then, George Tozer, gentleman's hairdresser.
32 Spindle Lane, correct?
Perfectly correct, old son. Regular contact made, investigation and maintenance contact with Mr. Tozer, involving expenditure thus far of £248.
And 75p.
Yes, I suggest you need a haircut.
Oh, yeah.
Inspector?
Mr. Barraclough.
Yes, how we come? Would you follow?
Yes, indeed.
Well, now, Inspector, a little refreshment, perhaps?
Well, that's very kind of you, sir. I'm not really feeling like anything at the moment.
Of course, I'm on very good terms with your local chums, very good terms indeed. In fact, I had a rather large hand in organising the last stag do.
Indeed. Well, the reason I'm here is because I wish to verify the presence of a gentleman who I feel may be able to help me with a few inquiries.
One of the staff. Oh, it's not that chef, is it? Now, what's he been saying?
No, I think this man would be amongst your guests, Mr. Barraclough.
Oh, that's a relief. The register, please, Stephanie. The register. Nowadays, you know, Inspector, the customer is somewhat more expendable than the...
There is one slight complication, I'm afraid. I don't know the man's name.
Oh.
Oh, no, never mind. I can give you a choice of two.
Ah.
Now,
Thank you so much, my dear. Sweet. Two names, you say?
yes, one of them is Hopjoy.
What's he been up to?
Oh, you know this man, Hopjoy?
Well, he spent quite a bit of time here, off and on, you might say. Oh, yes, we've always valued Mr. Hopjoy's custom. It's not about the account, is it? We're not worried about it, you know. Well, not really worried. Mr. Hopjoy has excellent credentials. Naturally, I cannot divulge them, but I dare say they'd surprise you, Inspector. Oh, yes. Oh, yes, indeed.
Do you happen to know Mr. Hopjoy's occupation?
Well, he's an agent. For some big manufacturing firm. An excellent position, I understand.
And does he happen to be staying here at the moment?
Not at the moment, no. We haven't seen him for quite some time. I should explain that he's not by way of being a regular resident, just the odd night, you know, when he happens to be... Well, when he happens to be covering this district.
His car is outside.
Oh, that? Yes. Well, it's on loan to a friend of his, isn't it? I say, it's the car you're inquiring about, is it?
Well, not primarily, no. No, I want to talk to the driver.
Mr. Periam?
Yes, Mr. Periam. Has he been staying here long?
Well, he booked in, last Wednesday. They're staying till the end of the week.
They?
Mrs. Periam.
Mrs. Periam.
Oh, sweet little thing she is. I say, if it is him that you want to talk to, might I suggest that you wait until you can get him on his own? Well, I mean, after all, sure you don't want to spoil their honeymoon, do you?
And what might the name be of this friend of yours?
Hopjoy. Brian Hopjoy.
Mr. Hopjoy. One of my most regular regulars. I know him well. Very well. Matter of fact, I was thinking he might turn up this afternoon. Must be several days now since... Fancy you being a friend of Mr. Hopjoy. Oh, yes, George, he'll say to me. I'm meeting a friend tonight. And he'll wink. And I'll spruce him up like a show dog. And I'll feel trot with some little witticism about the account. Oh, you might tell him I've been asking kindly after him, by the way, sir. And then later on, I fall to thinking about him with his friend. And, you know, it's rather nice to get that feeling of having played a part and helped things along and made sure there was no harm done.
Harm done? How can harm be done between friends?
Oh, easiest thing in the world, sir. Easiest thing in the world. But I see you've not quite taken on. You've not caught on to my meaning, so to speak. Excuse me, sir. Anything on it, sir? Spray, cream?
No, nothing.
The nostrils, sir?
Certainly not.
Very wise, sir, very wise. Clipping does tend to stimulate.
I personally find the best answer to what we vulgarly call the hairy nose hole is to fire it a couple of times a year like a railway embankment, you know. You, in the same line as Mr. Hopjoy, are you?
Same line. What do you mean line?
Well, it's not for me to say, really, is it? I mean, if you are, you are. If you're not, yeah. Would Mr. Hopjoy's friends be your friends by any chance?
We have one or two mutual acquaintances. Why?
I was thinking in terms of the ladies, sir. The best friends of all.
Ladies?
Quite.
I don't quite see how my social life could be the slightest interest to you.
Just as you like, sir. I only try to be of service in these matters. As I'm sure your old friend Mr. Hopjoy will tell you.
I really can't see you've any need to worry about old Bry, you know. He's a bit of a rolling stone. Surely somebody's got to be reported missing, officially, before you chaps start looking into things. I mean, why would anyone want to report Bry missing?
Well, some of the neighbours are getting a little apprehensive, I believe. And there are one or two circumstances that we do feel need an explanation.
Shall we?
The fact is, we've taken the liberty of looking in your house.
But why? I can't understand it, really. I can't.
When did you last see Mr. Hopjoy?
Well, it was one day last week, Thursday night.
At the house?
Yes.
Night before the wedding?
That's right. We were married on the Friday.
Tell me what happened Thursday.
Well, I drove over here after breakfast and brought some things, mine and Doreen's. I'd arranged to move into the hotel the day before the wedding, so everything would be ready. Doreen has a horror of things going wrong, you know. Big day and everything. Anyway, I spent the day over here killing time, toddling around, having meals. I went to bed quite early, about 9 o'clock, I suppose, and I was just dozing off nicely when the telephone rang, and it was a girl. Well, I was a bit muzzy being woken up like that. I didn't even ask her name, but she said that she was ringing for Brian and that it was important that I went over there right away. And then she rang off. Well, don't know what I thought, but before I knew what I was doing, I was driving back to Flax. Brian was at the house on his own. Well, naturally, I thought there was something wrong, but he just said he felt like a bit of a chat. Well, strictly entre nous, he was a bit, tiddly. All that way for nothing. Well, quite frankly, had it been anybody else, I'd have blown me top, but it's no good getting waxy with old Bry. It's water off a duck's back. Anyway, he'd been very decent about letting us have the car and everything, so I humoured him a bit, I suppose, and I left. But I certainly lost some sleep that night. Doreen must have thought I'd been on the tiles when I turned up at the registry office. No, you mustn't take that seriously. She's very sweet. She's very loyal.
Oh, no. Can you think why any of your neighbours should bear you a grudge, Mr. Periam?
No. No, they're quite decent old sticks, most of them. Not that I have much to do with them now that Mother's passed on. Why?
Well, you see, we've received an anonymous letter. It seems that somebody overheard you and Mr. Hopjoy having a row last Thursday. A very violent row.
But that simply isn't true. I mean, I've told you I was a bit tetchy at being dragged over for nothing, but there certainly wasn't a row. Nothing like that. Sorry, wind in the willows.
Did you expect Mr. Hopjoy at your wedding?
Very much the bachelor gay as old Bry. He said that if I was determined to meet me doom, he wasn't going to be an accessory to the fact. Well, that's the way he talks, you know. He's very dry.
And yet he lent you his car.
Yes, well, I used to have an old banger, but when I sold it, I never got round to... Look, I'm not quite sure about this anonymous letter business. I mean, what's supposed to have gone on?
Simply this, Mr. Periam. We believe that Mr. Hopjoy might have come to some harm in your house.
Harm? What kind of harm?
Murder, actually.
Oh, well, this is dreadful. I mean, my God, you don't mean that you've actually found a...
Body? No, I don't suppose we shall now. Well, it's getting a bit chilly. Shall we stroll back to the hotel?
Walter Anderson. Contact made April of last year.
Nothing specific report-wise.
Expenditure?
£137, listed as general expenses, nothing detailed.
Not awfully encouraging, I would have thought. Hello, what's this?
Worth a personal follow-up, I would have thought.
Indeed. And of course, as unobtrusively as possible.
Look, maybe I'm being stupid or something, but honestly to God, I haven't the faintest.
Can you tell me where I can find Mr. Hopjoy?
Well, I could suggest a lot of places, I suppose. I mean, he travels around a great deal, I told you.
Without his car?
Well, there's public transport, I suppose. Well, I don't know.
You see, his employers are as anxious as we are to find him.
His employers? Well, I suppose you chaps were genned up all along. Well, you can see why he should nip off without so much as a buyer leave from time to time. He was quite often away, sometimes 3-4 nights in a row.
And you were never anxious on his account?
Not really. Well, I suppose I should be. But after all, what he does is very necessary, isn't it? I mean, we'd properly be in the soup if it wasn't done by somebody. No, I mustn't spoil me dinner. As a matter of fact, I really ought to be getting ready. My wife will have finished her bath by now.
You know, this won't do, Mr. Periam, will it?
What do you mean, what won't do?
Less than 5 minutes ago, you were shocked at the possibility of your friend being murdered. Now you're anxious about your dinner.
It's my wife I'm thinking about. She'll be wondering where I am. Of course, I'm upset. I'm terribly upset. Perhaps I'm one of those people that don't show their feelings. In any case, you still haven't told me what's supposed to have happened.
No. Because I don't think you told me the truth about what happened at the house that Thursday night.
All right, I didn't tell you everything. I didn't want Doreen's name dragged into this, if you must know. It was to do with her, you see.
So there was an argument?
Yes, it all started about the house. I'd already told him that he'd have to move once Doreen and I moved in, and then there was all the back rent he owed. He was really giving me old Harry. That's why he'd been drinking, I suppose. It's Dutch courage.
You were saying he asked you back to the house just so that he could...
Oh, no, not just. The truth is, Doreen was Bryans' fiancée. He used to bring her round to the house and she'd cook for us and things like that. And, well, as time went on, we became... Well, I was more at home than Brian. Well, that's how it was. But it was terrible having to face him day after day, knowing that I'd let him down, that we were... But I just couldn't tell him. And neither could Doreen. She hadn't got the heart, poor kid. So we decided we'd get married and we'd face the music afterwards. It sounds a rotten thing to do, but... I don't know.
So it isn't true, then, that he lent you the car for the honeymoon? Or that he knew you were getting married, even?
No, I said I was going off on holiday on my own. I told everyone else the same thing, as it happens.
So how did he know you were getting married? And how did he know where to telephone you that night?
I don't know. But it wasn't him that telephoned, remember? I suppose it was a friend of Brian's that had heard something from someone Doreen had confided in. Well, you know the way women are. They sometimes say things when they really know they shouldn't. And she's very trusting, his door. She's a bit too trusting at times.
So what you're saying is that there was no violence that night? No physical violence?
No, there was no fisticuffs or anything like that. He was shouting a lot. I don't know whether anyone heard. Well, I suppose they must have done. Well, of course, he was shouting at me. I couldn't complain. Good God, I had pinched his girlfriend without having the courage to... Well, what I'm saying is that if he did behave badly, he was entitled to. Look, I really must be going up to my wife.
Yes, I think I'd better have a word with her, don't you?
Oh, well, I'm really not sure.
I don't think I really have much choice, do you, Mr. Periam? Shall we ask her if she'd care to join us? Mm-hmm.
Well, it appears to be what is known as a betting slip.
Correct.
Are you saying this Mr. Anderson gave it to you?
It's not a question of giving, more of taking.
No, not with you.
I believe this is yours, sir.
Betting slips, Mr. Ross, are a symptom of one of our little local weaknesses. We collect a good many of them.
It isn't the innocent things like bus tickets and jam labels that pass unchallenged, Mr. Chubb. It's rather the obviously illegal ones.
Betting slip? Horse is taken for a betting slip. I mean, what else could it be?
What else, indeed?
25 pence each way, needlework. Sandown Park, 2:30. Needlework, Mr. Chubb.
Well, the name of the horse, Mr. Pumphrey.
Horse is the name of the horse. But now think about it, association-wise.
You mean look for the name of the jockey?
I mean needlework. Needle, sewing, thimble. Thimble Bay.
Attractive, wouldn't you say?
Delightful.
Perhaps just a tidge too obvious. I'm for the pre-selected pseudonomic code myself. Impossible to break, of course.
I'm sorry, I can't agree association-wise.
What matters most is that our friend's main communication lines are being confirmed. It's our immediate task to follow them. I'll say this for F7, he left some pretty positive leads.
What do you know about a Mrs. Bernadette Crowe?
Husband's a farmer. Place called...
Mumblesby.
Yeah. Well, what I suggest, gentlemen, is that you speak with Mr. Purbright. He knows about those sort of things. And now, if you'll forgive me, the hounds are anxious to stretch their legs. A desire I'm sure you appreciate only too well.
I think we can acknowledge then, quite frankly, between the three of us, Mrs. Periam, that until quite recently you were a particular friend of Mr. Hopjoy's.
I told the Inspector, Darl. He does understand how things were.
He just wasn't the right one. It does happen, you know.
Of course. It must have come as a bit of a surprise to him.
Oh, he was bound to be upset, of course he was. But I honestly think it was his pride that was hurt more than anything. Wouldn't you say so? I mean, from experience.
Jealousy isn't always a question of hurt pride, Mrs. Periam. From what your husband has told me, Mr. Hopjoy took it rather badly.
The Barney in the bathroom, Darl. Remember, I told you.
I suppose I was a bit of a beast to him, really. The thing is, you see, he was so happy-go-lucky, I honestly didn't believe he could be so jealous.
Well, it was my fault, really. I should have told him much sooner.
Fancy you and old Bry having a ding-dong over poor little me.
Well, not a ding-dong exactly, Darl. It was Bry that flew off the handle. I hardly got a word in edgewise.
You did some housekeeping at Beatrice Avenue, did you not, Mrs. Periam?
Oh, I popped in occasionally during the week since Gordon lost his mother and everything.
Did any of Mr. Hopjoy's friends visit the house?
Not while I was there. I don't think he brought anyone home, did he, Gordon?
No. No, he was always a bit of a dark horse in that respect. Mind you, you have to remember the job he does.
Do you know what job Mr. Hopjoy was doing, Mrs. Periam?
I suppose I do, really, in a way. I don't want to get him into trouble or anything.
I don't think that possibility any longer exists.
Him skipping off, you mean? Oh, but he often does that. That's why he told me a little bit about his job. He didn't want me to imagine the worst, as they say.
So, Mr. Periam, what we can say is then that you were at the house that night. There was an argument, but that when you left him, he was perfectly all right.
Yes.
And you've no idea what can have happened to him.
Well, you can't say anything has happened to him, surely.
Just gone on another of his trips.
Yes.
And you're not in the least bit concerned about him. Yes. Well, I'm afraid I'll have to deprive you of Mr. Hopjoy's car.
Oh, no.
But why?
You won't find him in the boot, if that's what you're getting at.
And you won't leave the hotel without telling me, will you?
Oh, no doubt you'll be well informed of our movements, Inspector. It's a pity you can't be as well informed about Brian.
Mr. Periam, I don't want to be solemn, but I can only repeat what I've said to you before. There is a distinct possibility that Mr. Hopjoy's disappearance may well be permanent.
I don't know what you're trying to say, but he'll turn up. Don't worry about that.
Any news?
No, still away. Actually, they're both Miss Cork, mother and daughter. Daughter's illegit, according to the old girl next door.
I don't know, Sid. Talk about ripples in the pond and always dirty water, huh?
Gives me the creeps, this room. It's like a flaming shrine. Mind you, from what Mrs. Sayers says...
Sayers?
The old girl next door.
Oh.
From what she says, Periam and his mother thought the world of each other. Every time we did anything for her, she'd say it was another little jewel God had put in her crown. She was very religious, apparently. They were what you might call very close, even before the father died. So I suppose when the old girl went, the memories lingered on. All those photographs of him with her lurking in the background.
I wonder if Mrs. Periam will change things, the new Mrs. Periam, when she takes up residence.
What do you reckon with Periam, then?
I don't know, Sid. I just don't know. He seemed almost indifferent somehow.
But he's got to be suspect number one.
Yeah. Well, he's got to be.
Do you think she knows anything?
I don't know. She seems almost ruthless. Try and imagine a bed-hopping Sunday school teacher.
Oh, yes?
What I mean is, she gives the appearance of being frumpish, and yet underneath she's continually flexing and shuffling. She gives one the most disconcerting impression of, well, appetite.
Oh.
By all accounts, Hopjoy was the accomplished buck. What I don't understand is why she should drop him in favour of Periam.
Women can be very unpredictable.
Yes, can't they? Do you know the Neptune Hotel, Sid?
Yeah, a bit flashy, as I remember.
Yeah, decidedly flashy. Struck me as distinctly off-key for a honeymoon. Although, if Periam is mother-ridden, the Neptune would act as a symbol of his emancipation. Also, I suppose, it's in line with his idea of himself as a seducer. You know, having stolen Hopjoy's fiancée. All the same, though, you see, I would have thought it would be Hopjoy who would kill Periam, not the other way around. Well, I've heard of husbands being eliminated from triangles. I don't recall a case of fiancé-cide. It's the rejected suitor who's apt to be violent, not his successor. Yes, it is a shrine, isn't it? A very well-kept shrine at that.
It's my fault as much as yours. Truly it is. But I mean, we weren't to know how he'd take it, were we? Things will be different from now on. I'll be a good wife to you, Gordon. You see if I'm not.